At 0800 hours, 300 feet beneath the surface of the Pacific Ocean, Petty Officer Second Class Marcus Rodriguez is about to begin what might be the most bizarre workday in the U.S. military. Armed with nothing but electric clippers, surgical-grade scissors, and an industrial vacuum cleaner, he's preparing to transform 135 shaggy, salt-stained submariners into regulation-sharp sailors, all while traveling at flank speed through potentially hostile waters. This isn't your neighborhood barbershop. There's no spinning pole, no comfortable waiting chairs, and definitely no small talk about the weather. Instead, Rodriguez works in a space barely larger than a phone booth, where every snip of his scissors must be immediately sucked up by a vacuum system, where the sound of clippers could theoretically give away their position to enemy sonar, and where his salon doubles as a storage closet when he's not wielding his shears. The numbers are staggering. During a typical 4-month deployment, a single submarine barber will perform over 1,200 military regulation haircuts. That's roughly 10 haircuts every single day, including weekends, holidays, and combat situations. Some barbers have recorded completing over 24,000 haircuts during extended deployments, turning them into underwater haircutting machines who can buzz cut a sailor's head to perfect military specifications in under 4 minutes. But here's the catch. They have to do all of this while maintaining absolute stealth. Every hair clipping must be captured before it can float into the submarine's ventilation system. Every buzz of the clippers must be timed to avoid sensitive sonar operations. And every single haircut must meet the same exacting military grooming standards that would be required if they were standing on dry land at a stateside base. What makes this even more remarkable is that these aren't professional barbers who join the Navy. They're retail services specialists who learn to cut hair as just one of their many duties, alongside operating the ship's store, managing laundry operations, and maintaining vending machines. They're the Swiss Army knives of submarine life, and somehow, impossibly, they've mastered the art of high-volume precision barbering in one of the most challenging environments imaginable. Welcome to the underground world of submarine barbershops, where maintaining a sharp military appearance isn't just about looking good, it's about preserving morale, discipline, and sanity in the crushing depths of the ocean. To understand the sheer impossibility of what Rodriguez accomplishes daily, you need to see his salon, and we use that term very loosely. Imagine trying to set up a professional barbershop inside a broom closet that's been bolted to the deck of a ship that never stops moving, and you're getting close to the reality of submarine barbering. The space itself is a masterclass in engineering efficiency that would make any tiny house enthusiast weep with envy. Retail services specialists are responsible for managing and operating all shipboard retail and service activities, including the ship's store, vending machines, video games, barbershops, laundry, and tailor shops. This means Rodriguez's barbershop shares real estate with everything from candy bars to clean socks, creating a bizarre retail environment where you can get a haircut, buy a Snickers bar, and pick up your freshly pressed uniforms all within arm's reach. The barber chair itself is a triumph of submarine engineering, a fold-down seat that can be stowed flat against the bulkhead when not in use, because every cubic inch of submarine space must serve multiple purposes. During non-cutting hours, this same area might serve as a storage space for retail inventory, a meeting point for crew members, or even an emergency workspace for repairs. The chair swivels and adjusts with the precision of surgical equipment because when you're cutting hair on a vessel that can pitch, roll, and dive at any moment, stability isn't just comfort, it's safety. The real marvel is the tool setup. Rodriguez's clippers are industrial-grade models specially modified for submarine use, with enhanced noise dampening and electromagnetic shielding to prevent interference with the submarine's sensitive electronic systems. His scissors are surgical stainless steel, not for medical reasons, but because they need to withstand the humid, salt-laden atmosphere of submarine life without corroding. Every tool has its designated storage spot, not just for organization, but because a loose pair of scissors during an emergency dive could become a deadly projectile. The sanitation requirements would make a hospital operating room jealous. To learn how to cut hair and use barbering equipment, you must attend the ship's serviceman school, where sailors learn not just haircutting techniques, but also advanced sterilization procedures. Between each haircut, every tool gets sanitized with solutions that would strip paint, because in the confined environment of a submarine, one contaminated tool could spread infections to the entire crew. Perhaps most impressively, the entire barbershop can be completely dismantled and stowed in under 3 minutes if emergency conditions require the space for other uses. Rodriguez has practiced this breakdown so many times that he can pack away his entire salon while blindfolded, because emergencies underwater don't wait for convenient timing. 1 minute he's trimming sideburns, the next minute his barbershop has vanished and the space has become a damage control staging area. This isn't just a barbershop. It's a feat of logistics, engineering, and human adaptability that happens to involve haircuts. But the space constraints are nothing compared to the acoustic nightmare that submarine barbering presents. In a world where the buzz of an electric toothbrush could theoretically compromise a multi-billion-dollar stealth mission, Rodriguez faces a challenge that no civilian barber could even comprehend: cutting hair silently while surrounded by the most sophisticated listening equipment on the planet. The fundamental problem is both simple and terrifying. Hair makes noise when it falls. Not much noise, granted, but in the ultra-sensitive acoustic environment of a submarine, even the gentle patter of hair clippings hitting the deck could create sound signatures that enemy sonar might detect. It sounds paranoid until you realize that submarine warfare operates on the principle that the quietest boat wins. And quiet is measured in decibels so small that a dropped paperclip can sound like a gunshot. This is where submarine barbering gets truly surreal. You can get a haircut on board, but you need someone stood by with a vacuum to get the hair as it gets cut off your head. Picture the scene: Rodriguez working his clippers with surgical precision while a second sailor follows every movement with a high-powered vacuum cleaner, creating a bizarre hair-cutting ballet where every snip must be immediately captured before gravity can take over. The vacuum system itself is a work of engineering art. It's not your standard household Hoover. This is a specialized unit designed for submarine use with noise-dampening features and multiple filtration stages. The vacuum runs at a frequency carefully chosen to blend with the submarine's ambient noise signature, so it doesn't create any new acoustic patterns that might give away their position. Even the airflow has been calculated to prevent hair from escaping the immediate cutting zone. But here's where it gets really weird: the timing. Haircuts can only happen during specific windows when the submarine's sonar operators aren't conducting sensitive listening operations. Rodriguez doesn't just cut hair when customers show up. He cuts hair when the tactical situation allows it. Some days he might knock out 20 haircuts in a 2-hour window. Other days, when the submarine is tracking enemy vessels or conducting intelligence gathering, his clippers stay silent for days. The psychological pressure is intense. Rodriguez isn't just responsible for making sailors look sharp. He's responsible for not getting them all killed by making too much noise. Every time he fires up his clippers, he's acutely aware that somewhere above them, enemy submarines might be listening for exactly the kind of mechanical sounds that could reveal their position. It's like performing surgery while knowing that one wrong move could trigger an avalanche. The result is a haircut experience unlike anything in the civilian world. Sailors sit in absolute silence, knowing that even clearing their throat at the wrong moment could force the barber to stop mid-cut. It's barbering as a tactical operation, where the difference between a good haircut and a great haircut might be measured in how quietly it was accomplished, rather than how it looks. Now comes the truly impossible part. Despite operating in a phone booth-sized space with vacuum cleaners running and the constant threat of enemy detection, Rodriguez must deliver haircuts that meet the same exacting military grooming standards as if he were working in a stateside barbershop with unlimited time and perfect conditions. Displaying exceptional precision and speed, submarine barbers provide hundreds of haircuts while maintaining Navy grooming standards and meeting or exceeding all sanitation standards. And they do it all while the boat rocks, rolls, and occasionally performs emergency maneuvers that would send a civilian barber's customers flying. The standards themselves are unforgiving. Military regulation haircuts aren't suggestions. They're precisely defined specifications measured in fractions of inches. Hair on top must be no longer than 4 inches and must graduate down to no longer than 1/8 inch at the sides and back. The fade must be even, the sideburns must be perfectly straight, and there can be no eccentric or trendy styles. Rodriguez doesn't get to say close enough when the submarine lurches during a depth change. Every haircut must be magazine perfect, because when you dock, inspectors will be checking. The speed requirements are equally brutal, with 135 crew members needing regular haircuts and operational windows that open and close based on tactical situations. Rodriguez has perfected techniques that would make NASCAR pit crews jealous. He can assess a sailor's hair growth pattern, determine the exact cutting strategy, and execute a perfect military fade in under 4 minutes. All while a vacuum cleaner hovers inches from his hands and the deck shifts beneath his feet. His technique is pure, efficient poetry. Rodriguez starts with the clippers at the highest setting, working in systematic strips from the neckline up, with the vacuum operator shadowing his every movement like a dance partner. There's no casual conversation, no checking mirrors, no "how does that look?" Just clinical precision executed at superhuman speed. The scissors work comes next, with cuts timed to the submarine's movement so that each snip happens when the deck is momentarily stable. The sanitation requirements between customers would make a surgical team proud. Every tool gets sterilized with hospital-grade disinfectants, every surface gets wiped down, and every piece of equipment gets inspected for damage or contamination. Rodriguez maintains sanitation standards so pristine that inspection notes regularly praise submarine barbershops as the best on the waterfront, which is remarkable considering they're not technically on any waterfront at all. Perhaps most impressively, Rodriguez maintains these standards while dealing with customers who haven't seen sunlight in months, whose hair has been subjected to recycled submarine air, and who might be called away for emergency duties mid-haircut. He's learned to work around everything from seasickness to sudden combat alerts, and his hands are so steady that he can continue cutting hair even when the submarine performs emergency maneuvers that send unsecured equipment flying around the boat. The psychological pressure is enormous. One imperfect haircut doesn't just reflect poorly on Rodriguez, it reflects poorly on the entire submarine's discipline and standards. When you're representing American naval power in foreign waters, every detail matters, including whether your sailors look sharp enough to command respect. Rodriguez carries that responsibility with every snip of his scissors, knowing that his work is a visible symbol of military precision and professionalism. But the real miracle isn't Rodriguez's technical skill. It's his ability to transform what should be a soul-crushing production line into something that actually boosts crew morale. With 135 sailors needing haircuts every few weeks and operational windows that might slam shut without warning, Rodriguez has essentially become a human haircutting factory. He has successfully completed over 24,000 haircuts for embarked military personnel during extended deployments, helping to keep morale high on board. And somehow, impossibly, he makes each sailor feel like they're getting personalized service rather than assembly line processing. The mathematics of submarine barbering are brutal. During a typical 4-month patrol, Rodriguez needs to cut every crew member's hair at least 3 times, which means roughly 400 haircuts minimum. But submarines don't operate on predictable schedules. Tactical situations, emergency drills, and combat readiness requirements mean that sometimes he'll have days with no haircut opportunities, followed by marathon sessions where he needs to process 30 sailors in a single afternoon. It's like running a barber shop that randomly gets shut down by enemy submarine sightings. The queue management alone would challenge a Disney World operations manager. Sailors can't just show up whenever they want a haircut. They have to coordinate with their watch schedules, duty rotations, and the submarine's tactical posture. Rodriguez maintains a mental database of every crew member's hair growth rate, last haircut date, and upcoming inspection requirements. He knows that Petty Officer Johnson needs a trim every 12 days to stay in regs, while Seaman Williams can go 18 days between cuts. It's barbering meets logistics management with the added complexity that his entire schedule can be wiped out by a single enemy contact. The psychological impact of these haircuts extends far beyond simple grooming. They play a large role in the morale of the ship, serving as one of the few normalizing rituals in an otherwise completely abnormal environment. When you haven't seen sunlight in weeks, when you're breathing recycled air and drinking reclaimed water, when every day blends into the next in an endless cycle of watch rotations, something as simple as a fresh haircut becomes a powerful psychological anchor to the normal world. Rodriguez has learned to read his customers' mental states as expertly as he reads their hair growth patterns. The sailor who's been working 18-hour days in the engine room gets a few extra minutes in the chair, even if it means Rodriguez has to work faster later to make up time. The young seaman dealing with his first extended deployment gets some quiet encouragement along with his haircut. The grizzled chief who's seen it all gets efficient, professional service without unnecessary small talk. Rodriguez has become part barber, part counselor, part morale officer, all while wielding sharp instruments in a moving metal tube hundreds of feet underwater. The ripple effects are remarkable. A crew that looks sharp feels sharp, and a crew that feels sharp performs better. Rodriguez's work doesn't just meet grooming standards, it reinforces military bearing, discipline, and unit pride. When sailors catch glimpses of themselves in mirrors throughout the submarine, they see professional warriors rather than scruffy survivors. That psychological boost translates into better performance, higher morale, and stronger unit cohesion. In the isolated, high-stress environment of submarine warfare, Rodriguez's scissors serve as tools of psychological warfare against despair, homesickness, and the gradual erosion of military standards that could doom the entire mission. As Rodriguez packs away his clippers at the end of another impossible day, having somehow managed to deliver 18 regulation haircuts between sonar contacts and emergency drills, the true magnitude of his achievement becomes clear. He's not just cutting hair. He's maintaining civilization itself in one of the most uncivilized places on Earth. Think about the absurd beauty of what happens in that phone booth-sized space every day. A sailor who learned barbering as a secondary skill transforms 135 men into regulation-perfect military professionals using nothing but portable tools, a vacuum cleaner, and techniques that would make Formula One pit crews weep with envy. He does it while the floor moves beneath his feet, while enemy submarines potentially listen for the sound of his scissors, and while maintaining sanitation standards that would pass hospital inspection. The numbers alone tell an incredible story. 24,000 haircuts during a single deployment, each one perfect, each one completed in under 4 minutes, each one contributing to the morale and military bearing of crews who might not see sunlight for months. But the real story isn't in the statistics. It's in the moment when a homesick 19-year-old seaman catches his reflection after Rodriguez's work and sees a professional sailor staring back instead of a scared kid who misses his mom. Rodriguez represents something uniquely American, the ability to maintain the highest standards in the most impossible circumstances. While enemy submarines prowl the same waters, while the crushing pressure of the deep ocean tries to break both metal and human spirits, these underwater barbers continue their work with a precision and professionalism that would be impressive in a peacetime salon, let alone in a weapon of war operating in hostile territory. And then, the next time you complain about waiting 20 minutes at your local barbershop, remember Rodriguez and his impossible daily routine. He's out there right now, 400 feet underwater, vacuum cleaner humming, scissors flashing, turning sailors into warriors, one perfectly executed haircut at a time. In a world where so much seems broken, there's something deeply reassuring about knowing that somewhere in the depths of the ocean, standards still matter and excellence still happens, even if it involves a haircut.